Womp womp womp.
Alright, so that should mean I have audio. Oh my god, that's so loud. I'm so sorry, everybody. Alright, that should take care of that. Okay, and then we want to audio output capture, I think. We just want desktop audio. Hey Ashley, can you talk to me for a second?
Hello, this is me randomly talking.
Hey Ashley, can you talk to me for a
Yes,
second?
hello, this is me randomly.
Perfect. Okay. So it looks like I got everything set up right. Anyway, for anybody who ever watches this on Wednesday night, or any night for that matter, I just really appreciate that you guys are not brutally harsh and making me feel bad.
I don't know what you mean. I make always make me feel bad.
Because I have no idea what I'm doing. But just so you guys know, in the next few minutes here, we are going to be bringing on Douglas Carlson. He is the creator of the fabulous role-playing game LoreWars. And Ashley has not gotten a chance to see it in person yet, which is totally my fault, 100%. But, and, you know, it's really cool when you meet RPG authors and you just ask them politely to sign the book you just bought. Yeah. So it's signed. First edition signed copy of Lore Wars. Everybody, read it and weep.
Oh,
What?
the brag.
Uh, so the things that, like, I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of stuff out of the book right now. I've talked Ashley's ear off a little bit, about it before. And then when we get Doug here, we'll talk a lot more about it and ask him lots of questions. So as you guys are hanging out, waiting for him. So this is what the character sheet looks like for the game. Conveniently enough, the one that you're going to photocopy is not in some random back area of the book. It's on page 5. What a brilliant design decision! I can't stress enough, like, just how great that is, that you just crack it open, there it is to photocopy. Of course, the easy way to do it is just, go to someplace with a printer and have them do it. And then it actually has a few more pages to it, too, than your D&D sheet. So, like, you've got your front-back page. And this is really cool where you did the hexes for your, like, your equipment slots. I thought that was really clever.
I remember when I was in college, I used the college printer to print off character sheets.
Oh my god, because, like, you pay for that. You're printing, whether you
pay for it.
Oh, oh man. So part of my tuition was, like, I got 500 print sheets, and at the end of a semester, I would use them up.
They would just let us. There was one time I really needed to print off an essay, though, and someone just kept printing off, like, a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I have a class here soon what this essay is doing.
No, I was always mindful, like, I would always do, like, 5 or 6 at a time, so if somebody needed the printer for something real, I was out of their way.
I only printed a few character sheets off, like, the first page.
Oh, I probably did, like, well over 100 one semester. And then when you get into this book, like, it doesn't go into the how to play section. Page 8 goes into the stuff you need to make a character. Like, it just gets right into it, and I think that was a really cool choice as well. And we'll talk to Doug more about, like, the unique races and stuff that he made, because every race has at least three classes associated with it. And then each of those classes has, like, splits. So you start with, like, 1 at the top, then you go to 3, and then each of those 3 goes to 2. So you have, like, these neat, like, pyramids for your character creation. And I thought that was really, really brilliant. And then it kind of spells it. So they don't all have 3. It looks like Dragonkin, I'm sorry, has 2. But I'm just keep, like, showing you guys pictures. So actually I'm going to move my camera down here, Ashley, so you can see the pictures too. Because I don't have a digital copy. I just have a physical copy. Because I bought it at my local game store!
I'm sorry, I'm not cool.
No, you just don't live close enough. Maybe someday. So this is the Dragonkin. All the artwork in these books here, this was all stuff that he had commissioned for it. This is the Stone Soul. So this is, like, the one that really, like, I think sets this world and this game apart. Is we're not just talking like Tolkien fantasy. Kenny, yes, thank you for that. You always, dude, you go above and beyond supporting your local stores. You are a hero, my friend. But you'll see, like, you're not just into that, like, typical elves, dwarves, Tolkien fantasy. I mean, like, look at this.
What is that?
That is a demonkin.
What?
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah. I mean, like, not a tiefling. She doesn't even look like mostly human. And then you have a steam mech.
I
As
love tieflings too.
yeah, but I mean, but I think what like just is enticing. And then you have the Void Walker. This is a race you
What?
can play. Yeah, these are all. I try to be the man. But I'm only the man because of my customers, because that's why I have a job. Because without you guys, I don't have anything. What else do we got here? And then we have a Farsighter. But, I mean, what I think I love is just that you look at these things, you have a Revenant, all original artwork. None of this was, like, stuff that was, like, reused, recycled. None of this is stock art. It's all commissioned pieces. For the layout, you know, the Crystal Mind. But I think what I enjoy is that this stuff is just so unique. Pure Being, I mean, these things are not, you know, in D&D, you know, your Pathfinder, this stuff like that. A Baron's, this one's a little bit like a Kenku, but it's definitely not, it's not a Kenku, though.
Can they
So,
speak?
these guys are like a nomadic race that travels through a desert.
Oh.
Is there, like, kind of where they live. And then you have the Wick. These guys are like elementally attuned, which I thought was really clever and very cool. You have Genesis. These are elementals.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Also very cool. The Fate. This would be like a think like a giant person. Like you'd be like talking like 8 feet tall, 8 feet.
With 3 C's.
Paleborn. In all this stuff we're going through, like all these pages, like I'm showing you, this is all player stuff. I believe that one is called Siri. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but you have a moth person. Yes, the elementals have floaty limbs in this, Captain Jack. And we'll talk to Doug more about that design too. And then now we're getting into like the background stuff. So, you know, you have like in the background features like they have stronger mechanical effects than they do in D&D. So for instance, if you were in the military, as your background, you'd have 25 hit points. If you're disciplined, you get a higher damage bonus with your weapon. Creates to an actual mechanical benefit, which I thought was a really cool thing. And then we have, you know, we get into our starting gear. Then we have the different religions with their symbols, you know, who the gods are. And then we have, so this is the profit trees. This would be like prestige classing, say like in, you know, 3rd edition D&D. And all of this, then you get into the how to play section, teaching you how to run the game, how to play the game, stuff for the game master, and then it gets into the world. And all about the realms of this world, all this map making, all this artwork. That's pretty sharp. All of it original to this book. We even get into languages, like the written languages.
I want this. I want.
I mean, like how can you know, we have like different martial arts. We have labyrinths, which are different dungeons. We have spell books. All of these spells. Tons of magical spells. Sorry, I moved the camera the wrong way there. Lots and lots of magic. Then we go into like basic gear, shops, buying and selling. That's a pretty cool piece too. And then we have the minion manual. So this is the section with all your monsters and stuff like that. So there's not a ton of art in here because a lot of it is stuff that, you know, if you were to go and you wanted to find like fantasy art, you know, so like a lot of these are animals, giant spider, tomb spider, you know, variations of that. You know, goblins. There's little descriptions. So like an imp, a ratter, which is like, you know, a rat person. But it gives you like what you need to know to run these things very easily. And this is one book, and it has all of this information. So you don't need to get 3-4 books when you play this game. You just need one person in the group, maybe a few of you, support small people. And then you have like the whole thing about their artist, designer, and just the story of the game, which we're going to get more into when Doug is able to get here. He should be here in just a few minutes, from what I understand. Then on top of that, you have... yeah, getting a camera, like, the camera guy I have is... he's doing the best he can. He's my sister-in-law's kid, so I hired him as a favor. And then I have the Seal of Fate adventure book, which we also have on the shelves at the store. And so this is a full adventure for this game. It's got artwork. It has stuff for the GM to read out to people. More illustrated maps. This is a cool piece here too, without revealing a lot about the adventure. I have not had a chance to read through all this yet. The adventure, that is, primarily.
Me neither.
And then you have like maps of the dungeons, stuff like that, and it's just, there's some meaty hands. What's the book? So the first book, for those of you who just got here, this is the LoreWars Guidebook, which we now carry at Heart of the Game. This is done by an independent publisher named Doug. Very awesome person, and he this is a part-time gig for him, producing this. This is something that, like, he started his own company. He's literally, this game, just came out this year, and we are the third store, I believe, to be carrying it in the country, which is just a really cool thing. I was really blessed. I got to meet him in person a little while ago, so that was very cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a link to the website so you can explore a little bit more about it up close. I'll let you guys want to click that link there below, and you guys can learn just a little bit about the game. He has character sheets for free, more artwork on the site, stuff about just media. We're hoping that to see conventions in the coming year as well that we're going to be following. What else? You should also check out, I'm going to have you guys also check this out. There's also a YouTube channel that they've created where they put up streams of their campaign. They give us a little shout out, which was really cool, to say thank you for carrying it. That was done a little bit ago, so that was really, really awesome to see. But yeah, so you guys can check out some of their stuff there. Like I said, Doug should be here in a couple of minutes, and then we're going to bring him on. I'm going to really just kind of hand it over to him, and if you have questions, you guys, please, as always, put them in chat, and we're just going to hear what he has to say. Also, tonight, I want to show off my pin. This is Prince Duke. This pin is by That Crafting Witch, who you can find on Etsy, and will be my guest next Wednesday night. There are some local creators. They do dice bags, pins, stickers, a lot of fun stuff. Really, really great creative people. Very, very friendly people. Just absolutely wonderful. Very fortunate to have gotten to meet them just randomly. They're just, came to my shop one day, and they wrote. We started a conversation about D&D, and so that's my guest for next week, which I'm super, super excited about. So on that note, guys, I'm just going to bounce this back to the...
Starting soon.
Yes!
I have to be
Thank
here
you,
for a
Ashley.
reason.
Yes, Ashley is here to help me when I lose time, forget words, and things like that. And then we'll be back with Doug, okay? Oh, hey, look at that. I just transitioned us over. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm pretty sure everybody can hear us okay, because I didn't change anything up from how I had this already set up. Everybody, please welcome Doug to our
Hello.
weekly Wednesday night stream. And Doug, just so you know, we were here already talking, and I was showing off the LoreWars Guidebook,
Awesome.
which I have in hand, and we have on the shelf at the store for all you locals out there who want to check out an awesome role-playing game.
Right.
So we wanted to bring you on because we wanted to hear, I guess, directly from you, the author, creator, the mind, and all the hard work and writing that went into this.
Sure.
And I thought it'd be really cool because we had talked last week. Was it 2 weeks ago? Oh my goodness. So I thought it'd be really cool
It's
to
been a while already.
let you tell everybody what prompted you to create your own role-playing game, because I really liked this story.
Sure, for sure. I'm currently trying to figure out like how to go live on Facebook with this, and I don't know if I'm able to do that. But so yeah, okay. So a couple years ago, I say a couple. It's been so long now, but like I would say 6 years ago, I was going to college, and I lived with 3 other guys in a dorming facility, and we started doing this thing where we would have drinks every weekend and play random board games, and it got a little out of control. We'd play things like Monopoly and cards and such, and start drinking, and it'd get competitive, but like we were all kind of cheating and this and that, and it was like a tradition that we joked around and played these games. And one weekend, I kind of wandered onto the I think I found out how to do this. I wandered onto a YouTube video of I honestly want to say that it was the real big one. I can never remember them. Sure.
Critical Role.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was Critical Role, and I remember watching that, and I was like, in my shoes, I feel like everyone's heard of Dungeons and Dragons, and like I've heard of it, but never saw it being played or never knew how it was being played. And so I watched their video, and immediately I was like, "Oh my gosh, this would be absolutely hilarious for us to play in this setup." So when I did that, live stream setups here. I'm gonna try this. I'm not figuring it out. But so when I tried this, I looked online, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to invest in the books, or like I was reading through some PDFs, and I was like, it is a lot of content to get through just for kind of a joking night to have with some friends. So instead, I took a notebook out, kind of watched a few videos from this channel, and figured out how I thought it was being played. And which, looking back at it now, I was not right at all of how D&D is played. But I came to my friends with this notebook and a poorly drawn map on a poster board, and we played a little game for a night. And at the end of it, they were just like, okay, what happens next in the story, And so it was like, I guess we'll find out next week. And every weekend it turned into playing this knockoff D&D game, and eventually, like, as time progressed, it was just more of a like, well, what if we had this in the game, and then I'd write it in the notebook? Or what if you could play as this race instead of just a human, and I'd write it in the notebook? And this tradition kind of gained traction through 2.5 years of college. And by the end of it, I had a bunch of notebooks and binders. When I moved out of college and like started doing stuff on my own, adulting and whatnot, I my friends kind of prompted me to play again, and I used to work overnights at a shelter, so to pass the time I would take my notebooks and type them up into like Word documents and just kind of put them into a binder, refine all these spiral bound notebooks and such and composition notebooks into a binder with nice printed um, documents. And that was kind of neat in the next step into it. And then, right around then was like, I already have been listening to a D&D podcast about that time and kind of gotten into the hobby of tabletop RPGs. So I knew like what we had was completely different from D&D, from Pathfinder, from really anything I've heard of. And so right then I kind of came up with the name of LoreWars and just kind of sealed it as like, okay, this is our game as friends. LoreWars, it's a tabletop RPG. And then like a year or two later, I was living with one of my college roommates again, and he and I went down to a local game store and I picked up, I think it's called Tales of the Loop, and I've actually been meaning to go back and pick it up. It's a indie RPG, and I've been meaning to pick it up and like play it just because it's an homage. But I picked it up and I flipped through the books. It's like, this isn't D&D and this isn't Pathfinder. Is as like those are the two kind of titans in the industry of this kind of genre. And I was like, and this is a very nicely produced game that caught my eye and interest. And I was like, this wouldn't be too hard to do. I definitely could do this. So we talked, and I started taking that binder of things and like actually designing a core rulebook guidebook, and then looked back on like the years of us playing, and we had our like stories written in this notebook, and I started cutting them up into like, okay, this can be a campaign, this can be a story, this can be a campaign, and like kind of storyboarding 5 or 6 campaigns out of what we've played in the past years. And that's like future content that we're all working on right now. But during that time, that kind of took my journey of like just a hobby into, well, maybe this could be an actual business, an actual industry. So I started going online and researching of how to freelance for artists, and started paying artists to give art to because before, it's actually real funny, before when we would have people like pick out your race, because one of the bigger catches to our game is how many unique races we have in the book.
Yes.
And when I went to do that, we would Google image the closest thing we could possibly find, and some of them were funnier than others. So like there's a race in the book called the Fate, which are kind of like a necromancer's attempt at the perfect race. And they end up rebelling against him because free will is cool. And there's a particular class that acts kind of like Super Saiyans, where they can charge up for a few turns, and because of that, and then go into like a super powerful mode. But because of that, our image for the docs, like when it was in my binders, was a picture of Goku. I was like, so do you want to do the Goku race? So that's the race. And so yeah, I went to an artist and I was like, okay, this is kind of how I think of them.
Yeah.
And we'd hash it out that way. And a lot of stuff was like, the artist who worked mostly on the guidebook, it was Claudette Morel, I believe her name is. And she did amazing work. I remember one of the biggest challenges was the Demonkin, which is kind of our take on a tiefling. And we hashed it back and forth like 10 times because I wanted a demonic kind of race, but I didn't want it to look like a tiefling. I didn't want it to be familiar like a tiefling. And we started kind of getting into the spider imagery, and so it's more like a spidered humanoid. And so that's something we worked on. Yeah. And so yeah, we went through the process of hiring artists, and this was all like out of pocket. And in that moment, I was thinking to myself of like, even if I dump a lot of my personal money into this project, at the end of the day, me and my friends will have a really neat thing that we've done together.
Yeah.
And the more and more we kind of got into it, I started looking into legal things like copywriting and trademarking, and and starting to do this stuff, and doing like a DBA, to actually manufacture these things. And the more we got into it, the more I was like, all right, this could actually, be an indie game company. um and fast forward to this last summer, we and it's really funny because there's a store in Rochester that, they were going to carry us, and we were going to do like free RPG day there until COVID. Everything happened with COVID, and that's the actual store that I saw the Tales of the Loop thing from, that kind of inspired me to go professional with it. And they are called Just Games, I want to say, out in
Oh yeah,
Penfield.
yep.
um he's awesome, and since I went in there recently to pitch the game to him, and they expanded, and like, great for him for being successful. But he I was I was talking to, or I went there, and that's where I saw the Tales of the Loop thing. And then recently I was talking to him, and he gave me, like, out of nowhere, just gave me some legal advice about wording. I was using the words dungeon master, and he
Yep.
immediately was like, that's coined. You shouldn't be. So we changed that before we
Yep.
launched the game mess. But it's funny. When I went down there, when we started this project, so like maybe a month after I saw the Tales of the Loop and started writing like an actual guidebook rather than just our game notes. When I went down there, and I was like, yeah, this I have this project. Would you guys ever be interested in carrying it? I hear an echo. Do you guys hear an echo? I don't know if it's on me or you.
I do. Do you have the stream open too? While
I do, but it's muted.
Oh, I don't.
I'm not picking it up.
Okay, as long as you guys aren't.
Nope.
Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. As long as it's not on the stream, I don't care. But so yeah, I went to him, and he's like, "Well, how long? Like, can you give me something physical? How long do you think?" And in that moment, I was thinking to myself, I was like, "Oh yeah, it'll be like a month or two. It'll be done." Like 2-3 years later is when I'm actually have like a physical product in my hand, because I just was so ambitious and ready to do it. But between having an artist working on it and funding everything, it took three years maybe. But yeah, at the end of the day, just fast forward to this past summer, we actually launched, and went live with a website. A little bit before that, we started up a preview stream and podcast to try and get some people like excited for the game, as well as show off how it's played and stuff like that. And we did that for a little bit, and then launched the game. And it's been decently successful through a pandemic. It was kind of a poor time to launch, but like before the summer, like I said, I went out to these game stores, all these local game stores, and was like, yeah, launch right around free RPG day in the middle of summer, in June, I think it was. And you'll have a really good kickoff. And I was like, all right, we can be ready by then, more realistically now. And so I ordered all the stock, got all my pre-orders, had all these events set up for free RPG day, and then everything got shut down. It was poor, but we ended our first quarter, and we're in 3 game stores now. 2 of them, which are real funny, is in Michigan of all places. Chelsea, Michigan, I think both are actually. Which is like Just for Games, or Games for Life is one of them, and then the other is Secret Crisis Comics.
I like the name.
And then, right.
That's a good name for a shop.
And then the third store being you guys, Heart of the Game, and all 3 of them is just me. I would post like a query in these Facebook groups of like, there's like the Crafters Guild or the RPG Guild, and these are just people who all talk about RPG stuff. And I just posted like, hey, what's your favorite local game store? And they gave me thousands, and I just
Oh my god, I can imagine.
Every single one of them. I would email, I just made up an email in Word and copied and pasted it into every email, and got a few hits back. And then just push for, let me talk to you on a webcam, show you my product, and the three that I got, were saw the passion, saw the potential, hopefully, and we're doing pretty well. I know the Secret Crisis Comics is selling a good amount of the books so far.
Oh, that's awesome.
To the point where they're almost ready to reorder, which is exciting. But yeah, that's kind of the story. If you wanna, we can go into details about the game itself, or what?
Absolutely, yes.
You're the host, dude. You tell me where to go.
So for me, when I look at a role-playing game, the thing that always draws me mostly to it, and what I really love about your game, is how you have so many classes. So as a player, how many classes are there in here?
I couldn't tell you the number off the top of my head. I can tell you there are 16 playable races.
16.
And on average, each race has low number 2 races assigned to it that are completely unique. So I would say it's a low number. I would say upwards near 40. I would say 40 classes are in the game. Because some of them, I know, like some races, like the Siri, have 4 classes assigned to them, and then like humans have 3. So I know each of them have at least 2. Some have more, so I would guess around 40.
And go ahead, Ashley.
I was gonna. So are the classes connected to the races?
Yeah. So like the way we approach that is like, I didn't like the idea of universal classes that like D&D kind of put off, that I've at least seen and played. I don't think, like, because you can pick like any kind of race, and all of them can be like a hunter type class. And for us is like, well, each race has their own culture, has their own like style of warfare and adventuring and all that. So we made unique classes for every single race.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't have.
No, you're fine. Ask the question.
Yeah, no, this is the stuff that, and like, and they all have branches.
Yes.
So even though if I say it was we're gonna crack the book open because it's right here. So if I was a reverend and I chose the priest, my priest would be different, because then I could go into either evil-blooded or holy-blooded. So then you go from that one class into a potential of 2 others, and then you also have what we would call prestige classes, for those that are more familiar with D&D as well, that go into much higher levels.
Right.
The prophecies?
Yeah, the prophecy is the prophecy classes are like the prestige. So you can level up. You would pick a race, and then you could pick a class that's assigned to that race. For instance, human is kind of the vanilla see all, and so they have the simple I think it's archer, warrior, and mage. Very vanilla. Like, this is just for people who want to keep it familiar. When you play through that, you play from levels 1 to 5, and then once you hit 6 rather, you'd be able to pick a subclass in that class. So for instance, if you were to pick a mage as a human, I'm also looking at the guidebook.
Yay!
If you were to pick a human, and you were to pick your mage as your basic class, at level 6 you would be able to pick to be an elemental mage or a healer, and then from that you would level up from 7 to 20 as that subclass. So you would level up from 7 to 20 as a healer or an elemental mage. At level 20, though, is where we get into the more universal classes, where these are prophecies. These are like, you are a chosen hero of the realms. You are represented by a deity, and so when you hit that level 21 to 25, that's when you start to get to pick, like, from a selected group of like feats and stuff, as well as get like a title. And so I think there's 10 of them in the guidebook, and there can be something like the God of War has a one based off of him called the Horned King, and the idea was that is the title your character would take. For instance, you would be, like Doug the Horned King from now on, and you'd have all your old abilities level 1 to 20, but now you'd be able to get these new feats from 21 to 25. And so yeah, that's, you know, we do have some kind of universal class system, but it's like a prestige system.
And is the level cap 25? Or
As of right now, it is. We really don't know where we're gonna go with it yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the cap for D&D is 20, or am I wrong in believing that?
Currently
it?
is
Okay.
20. Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of like extensions to that system that we've been kind of pushing around, or something like along the line. I don't know the max in DD. Is it like 12th level spells or something like that? Like the
Ninth.
really high
Yep.
9th level. Okay.
Yep.
So that's something we're kind of pushing around with. The idea of right now is doing some kind of like super duper magic thing that you can do very end game. Is getting that kind of stuff. But yeah, as of right now, level 25 would be the max.
Next question that I have, and I know that like everybody else is gonna want to know this: how many dice do you need to play Lore Wars?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to answer, is because you only need one. You need a D20, and that wasn't even really intentional. Again, that's just back in the day when I was watching it, how I thought it was being played. Which is funny because I listen to a podcast now and they're like, oh, roll 5d6. And it's funny how I missed that way back when, but we're just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
That you roll a d20. And we just recently did GeeklyCon online, and about a month ago, I think, or so. And I got a comment afterwards from one of the girls who played, which I hosted a game for about 3 hours with 6 people. It was a lot, but we had a ton of fun, teaching them all a new system and kind of running through our one shot. But one of the girls messaged me after, and he's like, hey, here are my kind of thoughts on the new system, this and that. And one of the highlights that she mentioned was the fact that though it might get confusing sometimes learning a new system, the fact that I can just roll one die and the table can kind of push me along is incredibly helpful. So that's a big thing for me, is because of the circumstances of which we created the game. I want it to be super new user friendly. People who just pick it up can kind of get it within a session or two. Which, no offense, I love the complexity in D&D and stuff. But recently, I actually, at your store, when we dropped off the product, I picked up the I actually have it somewhere around here. Hold on. I picked up the Rick and Morty.
Oh yes!
D&D thing. And so my friends who usually in like all Lore Wars, like we would just play Lore Wars, they we sat down and played this, and I read through the core book of what they give you and stuff, and we were all Rick and Morty fans, so like super relatable. And we got through a session or so, and we plan on finishing what's in the box. Like we're planning more sessions, but every time I was like, I'm looking through the rule book, it's like, I think we're doing this right, and a lot of it is like, when you're attacking, like what stat is compared to what, how are we, a lot of that where and I feel like that stuff is avoided in the Lore Wars system.
Absolutely is.
Especially through like attacking, because the way the attacking is set up is you roll a d20, and that number alone will tell you if you like how hard, like how successful your attack is, without trying to compare it to an enemy stat or looking at a stat and adding a bunch of numbers. That this first roll you roll is telling you how successful your swing of your weapon is, kind of thing.
I will just say, I want to comment. I found that really funny as I was reading through it, because like in AD&D, which obviously you'd never played, that was actually how it was designed. Was that you would figure out, but it was still a table, so you'd figure out what your target number was, and then that would be, how you would do it. You would just, and so like you'd have to compare it to whatever the enemy was. But one of our viewers wants to know, are you still doing streams and playthroughs currently, actively? I will say.
Yeah, I actually I haven't looked at your chat at all. Yes. Yes I am. If you search it's a LoreWars RPG. If you search that in Twitch or on Facebook or on Twitter, you'll find us, I'm sure. We are currently still doing the first campaign, which will lead me in a little bit about content. Content-wise, we have the guidebook, which is the core guidebook. It runs about, let me see here. I used to know this number. I think it's 186. It is.
186 pages.
Yeah, 186 pages. You can start a game with that if you have the imagination to kind of write your own campaign. It has minions in it to fight. It has items to buy, gear to use. It has the rules. It has all the 16 playable races, including all their class pages and leveling trees. It has the profit trees. You can get that and start playing it has everything you need to start playing. And I won't even plug my own website in. Like, you should go to Heart of the Game and get that for sure. But
I've already been plugging it in though.
if you can't go local, like, absolutely support the local stores.
Yes,
like, this is just a side gig. This is a side gig for me. Hopefully in a couple of years it can be like my main career. But as of right now, it's a hobby I'm trying to make somewhat successful. You should go support the store that actually needs the business to survive. But with that, you can start playing the game. We do have a adventure out that we launched with the game called Seal of Fate. Real small thing. It is only, this actually doesn't have page numbers on it, I don't think. Yeah, it's probably like 20 pages or so, but it has 3 chapters of content with the minions and the storytelling and all that. And this is a prequel to the first campaign we're doing. This is the Steel of Fate adventure. The campaign is called Ring of Worlds. It is nearly complete. It's completely written. It's an artist thing, you know. I pay high quality artists and they're pumping out stuff left and right. And so that's pretty much what I'm waiting on now, is just, you know, it's all written and stuff. It's just waiting on the art to come through. And so when that comes out, we're thinking about doing some kind of, I don't know if it's going to be a Kickstarter or a pre-order bundle or something, but we're going to do a really rad pre-order thing for that, where we're going to get exclusive boxes to, like a collector's box to store it in. I think we're going to team up with Hero Forge and release some miniatures that go along with it. There's the first like major thing you encounter, which is really neat because it's an homage to the first game I ever played of LoreWars. When it wasn't LoreWars, when I had the notebooks. When at the very first time, like I said, that poorly drawn map I drew and played the very first game was my friends going through a haunted house, and in the haunted house were 7 nightmares that were kind of homages to real urban legends, like Bloody Mary is one of the bad bosses you have to fight, or Jekyll and Hyde, or the Grim Reaper, and so they had to fight 7 of them and get through the haunted house, and that was the one shot I wrote that very first time. And so that Adventures is the first chapter of Ring of Worlds. It's rewritten and balanced and everything, but that's the story more or less. And that's we're thinking of doing those 7 nightmare creatures as figurines and giving them out randomly in those boxes. Like you get one of the 7 in your box.
Cool.
We also are teaming up with Bryce's Dice and releasing some awesome official LoreWars dice. And I think that we're going to include one of those in the box and all that. But with that, we are playing through that exact story in our stream right now, that we release weekly to bi-weekly. It just depends. All of our lives are so busy. You know, we pump out episodes as quickly as we can. But we are actually playing through that Ring of Worlds campaign on my podcast and stream. And I would say we're about 2/3 through it.
Very cool.
when we finish the campaign, we are planning to do like a sister podcast and just kind of keep it going. But with that, I've told them that I want to be a player character. I'm sick of being a game master.
The curse.
And right, I'm sick of it. I've done it for so many years,
Mhm.
and so I was like, we're talking to people to see like if somebody wants to be the game master and have like me as the developer be a player character as well as some other friends. But yes, that is ongoing and hopefully ongoing for some time. And you can listen to the podcast version or like the YouTube versions as well. This anywhere you go, look up LoreWars RPG is kind of our handle everywhere.
That is fantastic. So that is unfortunately all the time that we have tonight.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Thank you.
no, thank you for
No.
appearing on the show, and you
Absolutely.
guys who are watching this live, we really appreciate it as always. And as Doug said, support your local game stores.
Yeah.
But if you're not a local to me and your store doesn't carry this game and you are interested in it, please feel free to hit up his website, which we will post one last time for you guys. And if you are watching this on YouTube, when we get it uploaded, which should be before the end of next week, I'll have all those links that we referenced in here as well. And of course, check out like all of his stuff. Like this world, I have to say, is very impressive. It's just so unique.
Thank you.
And that's
It's
what
years of building, you know.
I love the most about it. I think, and the passion definitely shows in this product, you guys. So if
Thank you.
are a game master looking to try something new, this gets the Chibi Ben stamp of approval.
And hopefully, you know, I know you and I have talked about doing some kind of
Yes!
play sometime in the future. So keep an eye on that because hopefully Ben and I can figure that out.
Yes, yes. We will. That is just a schedule. That just comes down to like us both having busy
Right.
lives. That's what that comes
Right.
down to. But yes, we will at least we will do a live play of this, so you guys can check that out. And then again, that'll end up probably on both of our YouTube channels, so you guys can share that with your friends. Be like, oh, check this out, guys. You know. But anyway, anything else, Doug? Any? Yeah. Oh yes. Just a reminder, we do have D&D tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Friday night is Paint with Your Pals. And end of the month, we have a very special Paint with Your Pals for Halloween, where we will be doing an ogre zombie. So.
Yeah, that's dope. I actually right now I've watched so many podcasts and I started listening to your guys' YouTube. I don't know, do you guys upload to a podcast site or
I
forum?
don't currently.
You should. It's a lot easier to listen to you that way.
Okay.
But I have been listening to your YouTube
Well, thank you.
playthrough on my commutes and whatnot.
Gotta
But
figure
think
out if we're gonna fight a shark.
Don't spoil it. He's not that far yet.
Yeah, oh no, I'm on like episode 3. It's like an hour and a half listen each time. You gotta give me time.
I'm sure you'll just forget. Just forget what I said.
All right, well, thank you guys so much.
You are so welcome. Everybody just have a good night and stay safe out there, guys, okay? Bye.